I would die to protect her.
Amazon's The Wheel of Time has officially been canceled. And for fans who waited years to see Robert Jordan's sprawling epic finally brought to life, this one hurts. Not just because we're losing another fantasy adaptation, but because this show was just starting to understand what it could be. The stakes, the prophecies, and the magic. And then, silence. No last battle. No closure. So today, we're taking a slow walk through the Wheel of Time's 8 most disappointing realities after its cancellation. The loose threads, the character arcs they'll never finish, and the behind-the-scenes truths that might explain why the wheel stopped turning. Give it a thumbs up, and share if you enjoy my video. Let's start with number 8. The pattern was finally taking shape. By the time the Wheel of Time reached Season 2, it felt like the chaos of Season 1 had finally settled. The tone was darker, the pacing tighter, and the character arcs were beginning to align with the sprawling mythos of the books. Rand was finally becoming the Dragon Reborn, Moiraine had regained her sense of purpose, and the Forsaken were stepping out from the shadows. But that's what makes the cancellation sting, because Season 2 wasn't a downfall. It was the setup for everything that makes the Wheel of Time legendary. We were finally moving from exposition into destiny. And now, we'll never see the pattern fully reveal itself. We'll never get to watch the tavern's threads collide, or the world realize the dragon isn't a myth. He's a man trying to hold it all together. It's like the wheel stopped spinning right before the tapestry could show its full picture. Rand's Destiny Left half-written Rand al'Thor's arc is the backbone of the Wheel of Time. His struggle with madness, destiny, and impossible responsibility was only beginning to unfold. In the books, Rand's journey is about identity, about carrying the weight of prophecy while losing pieces of yourself. And while the show teased this brilliantly, the visions, the hallucinations, the growing paranoia, it never got to pay it off. We were just starting to see the Dragon Reborn lose his grip on sanity and reality. The moment Rand finally embraced his role should have been heartbreaking, terrifying, and beautiful. But that story is now left hanging in the void. A chosen one without a final battle. A messiah without an ending. It's one of the cruelest ironies of the Wheel of Time that the man destined to save the world will never get the chance to finish saving it. The Forsaken was about to get interesting, let's be honest. Season 2's introduction of the Forsaken was the first time the show felt truly dangerous. Lanfear, Ishamael, and Moghedien. They weren't just villains. They were living relics of the Age of Legends. Ghosts from a world that once thought itself divine. The idea that these ancient sorcerers were walking among mortals again was chilling. And yet, just as their dynamics were getting juicy, they were gone. The betrayal, the infighting, the seduction of Rand, the war over control of Tel Aren'Rhiod, all of it was right on the edge of exploding. The Forsaken are the key to the Wheel of Time's philosophical war, not just good versus evil, but chaos versus order, and memory versus forgetting. Their story is reduced to fragments, like echoes of a great power that never had the chance to roar again. The wasted potential of Egwene Alvir Egwene's rise in the Wheel of Time was easily one of the show's best subplots. Her capture, torture, and eventual rebellion gave us some of the series' most powerful moments. She was becoming the embodiment of resilience, a woman breaking free from a world determined to control her. In the books, she grows into one of the greatest leaders the Tower ever sees. But on screen, we were only at the spark of that transformation. Season 2 hinted that Egwene's power was tied not just to her training, but to something far deeper, a balance between submission and defiance, pain and strength. To cut that short now feels like robbing us of one of modern fantasy's strongest heroines. And it's more than just character loss, it's symbolic. Egwene represented the heart of the pattern's change, the breaking of old systems. Now that fire goes out mid-burn. The world building we'll never see, say what you will about the pacing or the CGI, The Wheel of Time had one of the richest worlds in television fantasy. From the White Tower to Falme, from the eerie Blight to the endless deserts beyond the Aeol Waste, we were on the brink of exploring a massive interconnected world. Season 3 was reportedly set to dive into the Aeol and their connection to Rand's past, explore the Shan-Chan's imperial rule, and even hint at the wheel's cyclical nature, how history repeats itself, and how every age mirrors the last. That's not just lore, that's philosophy. That's what makes the Wheel of Time special, its idea that even the end is just a new beginning. But now those maps stay uncharted. Those prophecies remain unsung, and the world feels smaller than it should have been. Moiraine and Lon deserved a final chapter. Let's talk about Moiraine. Rosamund Pike carried this series. Her portrayal of Moiraine was magnetic, mysterious, calculating, but quietly vulnerable. Watching her lose her connection to the One Power, only to find strength and wisdom instead, was one of the show's most grounded arcs. And Lan? The stoic warder who began as a bodyguard but ended up as the emotional center of it all? His dynamic with Moiraine was one of duty and devotion, like a knight bound to a queen in exile. Their story was a slow burn about purpose, sacrifice, and trust. And we'll never get to see it pay off. No moment of reconciliation, no final battle where they fight side by side, and no sense of closure for two of the show's best-written souls. The bond was broken, and so was ours. The budget versus the vision. Now let's step behind the curtain. Part of what doomed The Wheel of Time wasn't the story. It was the system. Amazon reportedly struggled to balance the show's enormous budget with the expectations of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. When two fantasy giants exist under the same roof, one's bound to overshadow the other. And even though The Wheel of Time had its own distinct tone, more mystical, more emotional, it never got the same marketing love or post-production time. Scenes were trimmed, visual effects rushed, and storylines compressed. The result? A show that always felt like it was sprinting uphill, even when it was finally finding its stride. By the time Season 2 wrapped, the creative team had already rewritten much of Season 3's script to adjust for production changes. It was supposed to be the season that turned everything around, the one that redeemed the adaptation in fans' eyes. Now it's just lost in the wind, the story that deserved to keep turning. Here's the hardest part to swallow. The Wheel of Time was finally becoming something truly unique. Not another Game of Thrones clone. Not another fantasy series chasing spectacle, but a human story about cycles, about how pain, power, and destiny repeat themselves through generations. Rand wasn't meant to win, he was meant to understand. Egwene wasn't meant to escape, she was meant to transform. Moiraine wasn't meant to guide forever, she was meant to let go. That's the beauty of Jordan's story. It's not about endings, but renewal. And it feels almost poetic, cruelly so, that the show's cancellation mirrors that theme. The wheel has stopped, but maybe it's just pausing for the next turning. Because, here's the thing, Amazon didn't destroy the pattern, they just left it open. There's always a chance the story returns, maybe through animation, maybe through a spin-off, maybe through fan campaigns. The pattern doesn't forget. Finally. So as fans, maybe that's the comfort we take, that the wheel keeps turning, in rewatches, in the books, and in the community that still believes this story deserves an ending. Because in the world of the Wheel of Time, nothing ever truly ends. The threads remain, the story waits, and someday the wheel may spin again.